What's going on? We're back with another Cooking with Tree. Today, we're not cooking, we're making cocktails. Special cocktails, barrel-aged cocktails. A his and hers cocktail batch for my sister's wedding that will be next month. We are making two different cocktails. One for the groom, the AFD which stands for the Alex Ficarelli Danberg Old Fashioned. The second cocktail we're making is the I Do Bijou for my sister. A Bijou is a classical cocktail which I don't know a whole lot about. So I've got my expert, he's also my brother, his name's Spencer, and he's gonna tell you about how we're gonna barrel age these two different cocktails.
All right, so we got our Old Fashioned over here that we're gonna do. Instead of a simple syrup, we're gonna use a framboise. We're gonna use some black walnut bitters.
But not just an Old Fashioned, an AFDOF.
An AFDOF Old Fashioned. So this is a spin off of a classic, and this one is just a straight up classic. The Bijou's a pre-Prohibition triple, so this cocktail dates back to before the Prohibition. A lot like the Manhattan, Martini, things like that. This has been around since the beginning, right? This cocktail, however, kind of got lost in history, and it's still making this comeback, but I still think it's one of the best cocktails ever made. It was popularized by Harry Johnson. He's kind of like the godfather of bartending. He's been doing it forever. Well, he's dead as hell now. All right.
So before we get into the barrels, how did you select these brands and these types of, why did you get this and why did you get this?
Okay, so I went with the Nolet's because it's just flat out my favorite gin ever. I mean,
it's like a floral gin, right?
It's very floral. It's well, Nolet's also makes Kettle One. Kettle One's my favorite vodka. So I mean, I just went with that because I think it's the most balanced gin, and it's not gonna take over for this cocktail. I feel like if we use like a London dry gin, where most of the notes you're gonna get are gonna be like juniper. Mm-hmm. This has more floral, citrus, more well-rounded, for me at least,
Right.
Yeah, so I think that's gonna work really well. I went with Coque di Torino for the sweet vermouth. This sweet vermouth is sweeter than other sweet vermouths. It was actually created by a pastry chef. So this was like an after dinner drink. This was something you would just traditionally sip on like straight. And yeah, I mean, so that's gonna be
So both of these two are going to the Bijou?
Yeah, as well as the green chartreuse. The green chartreuse is extremely herbal. It's got a unique flavor. The only thing that tastes like green chartreuse is green chartreuse.
And it is in fact green.
Yeah. There's also yellow chartreuse. So smell it.
It smells good.
It smells good. It's very herbal. It also almost has like a medicinal smell to it,
It does, and it's not like super potent where you smell some liquor bottles and
yeah,
gets right up in there. It's
yeah.
subtle.
It's subtle, but all right.
All right, so those three are going into the Bijou.
Yeah.
So that will be one barrel. And then the rest over here will be for that AFDOF.
Yeah. So the reason we have so much liquor is because these are 5-liter barrels. That's 5,000 milliliters. A fifth, that's like 750 milliliters. So just the bourbon, that's going to be, I think, 4,500 milliliters.
4,500 mLs. And so we've got Four Roses bourbon. Why'd you choose this bourbon?
I'm just a fan of Four Roses. I think it's well made, and I hate to be that guy, but the price point's right, especially when I'm making a cocktail.
Especially when you got 6 bottles.
Yeah, especially when you buy 6 bottles. So if I'm drinking an Old Fashioned or a Manhattan, I'm not reaching for top shelf. Just because if I'm drinking really good bourbon, I'm going to drink it neat. So I think that this being like kind of middle of the road, but still just incredibly well-made bourbon makes it ideal for making cocktails with.
Kind of ashamed to put sugar in a super old bourbon. I mean, we're not putting sugar in this because it's going to the barrel, correct?
Yes.
So, because it's going into the barrel, they have to be all spirits cocktails. I think you told me that before.
Yeah, I mean, you can put juices or like other things in there. I don't know if I would. I've seen people do it, but whenever I'm aging a cocktail or making like a large format cocktail, I really do like to keep it just like all alcohol, just so in the event that something goes bad, it's not ruining your whole cocktail. And also these barrels can be reused. So I wouldn't want to put anything perishable in there because...
How are you gonna clean it?
Exactly. And like, you know, the way you clean these basically is just let them soak with water, which is also what you do when you get a new barrel. You want to make sure to let that soak for probably about a week, because even if we look close at this one, you can see by the top here, right by the bunghole, right here you see moisture, and that's where the barrel's actually expanded. These were leaking on the first day, but they expand a bit after a few days and it gets nice and tight.
And one thing that I would like to say is, like, the first time I saw a barrel like this, I like assumed that it was just built that way to look cool. Like, oh, it looks like a mini whiskey barrel, but it literally is a mini whiskey barrel. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I mean, it's a French oak barrel, so that's like, there hasn't been whiskey in it yet. So like some distilleries will sell their barrels, but this is like a brand new barrel. There hasn't been whiskey in it yet, so it's just a French oak barrel, but that's what, you know, Kentucky straight bourbon's aged in.
And then you said you put water in them, right?
I put water in them, yeah, because there is going to be like, you know, a little bit of debris, and you also have to like let that wood expand.
All right, so we're gravitating back to the barrels again, but we got two more ingredients here we got to talk about in the AFDOF.
This is just a raspberry liqueur. This is very syrupy, so we actually aren't even going to use that whole bottle, whereas we're going to use all the bourbon. Yeah.
And then we've got a bitters here.
Yeah, so this is Fee Brothers bitters. I like them for their flavored bitters a lot. They've got a really nice Angostura bitter as well.
And
bitters,
this is black walnut bitters.
Yeah, these are black walnut bitters. So I mean, bitters started off being like sold as like a cure-all, and then they like worked their way into cocktails. They've got a very potent taste, so honestly you use like maybe 2 dashes of bitters per cocktail, maybe 3. So it's a very small part of the cocktail that makes a big difference.
And so aside from all the liquor we literally have a little glass measuring cup and a funnel, and that's all we need today except for our beautiful little barrels. One is pre-emptied, one is full of water. And how long do you need to have these sit with water in them?
At least 5 days. We gave it a week just to be safe, but you don't want to overdo it. You don't want to leave just water in there for 2 weeks. You'll get like mold in there.
So keep enough, but not enough. All right, so
Yeah.
we've got one that we need to get emptied.
I'll even show you like right now. Get a little airflow in there, take the bunghole out.
Such a great sound.
But see, this is just water that was in there. And you can see that it's got, I'll put it on the countertop so you can even see it. It's got a little tint to it. And I'm gonna let you smell this. It's gonna smell really oaky.
All right, so it literally, I don't know how you can see it on the camera, but it looks like pretty much like white wine. And it smells very much like wood.
Yeah, it's gonna smell very oaky.
All right,
And as we drain this, we are gonna have little bits of the barrel that's gonna be charred coming out.
so I'm gonna get this one draining.
And that's another reason to soak it, is because you want to get rid of any debris that might be in there. And take a whiff of that.
This also smells really good. I want to pour something in there.
Okay, man.
So what would you estimate the color of each of these cocktails are gonna be when they're done?
I mean, the Bijou's usually like, I think the chartreuse, it's pretty much the chartreuse color, just a little bit darker because of the vermouth. And after it ages a little bit, it's gonna be even a little bit more dark.
And so the aging process is like, does it do more than just pull the wood flavor into the cocktail?
No, not so much.
So that's pretty much the point of barrel aging.
Yes. Yeah, you're gonna pull that oak flavor out. Cause like, you know, you can smoke cocktails, you can do all sorts of things with them. You can get like a smoke gun, but I think that everything about this cocktail. Cocktails. So these little barrels fit a whole lot more booze than you would think in them.
Yeah, I mean, 6 bottles going in each one. It's quite impressive. Want to do the last one?
Oh man, go for it.
Okay. I feel like this is a very sophisticated episode of Cooking with Tree.
It's the most expensive episode of Cooking with Tree.
It's definitely the most expensive. I spilled a little bit more.
Come on, dude.
We're short on
This is the most expensive ingredient. Oh, that was the
It's
very
full
top.
anyway, so
Yeah.
it's alright that we spilled a little bit.
I miscalculated. No, I didn't. Look at that.
No, it's like perfectly.
Come look at
it's
this.
It's literally perfectly full.
Come look at that.
We were meant to spill.
We're meant to spill. We're gonna just go ahead and put that bunghole in there. You know what I'm
Alright, so
saying?
bunghole's nice and tight.
Give it a
great.
little swirl.
Alright, give it a little swirl. I'll give it a swirl too for good measure.
Charles is rocking his little Bijou baby to sleep. Look at him. Night, night. Go sleep in the wood for a few weeks now. Yeah.
Sleep in the wood. Alright, so the I Do Bijou is complete. We're just gonna take a peek on what this looks like.
We're just gonna look at it. Set her down.
Just take a little. You don't.
Set her down.
Alright.
Alright. And you gotta take out the bunghole, otherwise it's not gonna want to pour.
Alright, so this is the bunghole if you haven't gathered.
So this cocktail has not aged yet, obviously. It's not gonna have any of the, it's not gonna be too oaky yet. Here, I'm gonna get a little bit more in there.
More?
Nope.
Alright.
Alright, so we got it. Now real quick, if you wanna look at it real close, you'll see little bits of charred oak floating in there. Yeah, so the inside of this barrel is charred, so as it sits in there and soaks, it's gonna take up a lot of that flavor. Yeah.
It smells good.
What's it smell like? Besides good. Let's get some descriptive words.
It smells floral.
Floral.
It smells oaky.
It smells oaky. Okay.
It smells like alcohol.
It smells like alcohol. To me, cocktails like this smell like medicine. And that's because back before Prohibition, a lot of the first bartenders were almost revered as like pharmacists. You'd say like, oh, I've got an upset stomach. They'd say, here, drink this. So a lot of cocktails from this era are gonna just kind of taste like medicine. But I mean, this isn't gonna be the first cocktail you drink and you're gonna say, oh, I love, this. This is definitely a cocktail for a drinker. For me, this cocktail has significance because for a long time, I didn't really like gin. And then I drank this cocktail and I was like, I think I like gin. Yeah.
Didn't find the right one.
I didn't find the right one. I didn't find the right cocktail. Now I could drink gin through a fire hose. I've done it.
I'll take a little taste.
See, the Schroeder boys, we don't really drink, but we facilitate. We'll bring the party to you.
Yeah.
So we've got the smelling notes. We can see the oak in there.
Smell test complete. What do I taste? I taste the wood, obviously. I taste the no-lets the most
The no-lets is distinct
because it's the floral, and I taste that.
when you're also gonna get floral notes from the chartreuse, but like they complement each other.
And then we have the vermouth in here too.
Mm-hmm.
I get the vermouth. I mean, I don't really know like chartreuse super well, so like I can't really pick it out of there.
Yeah.
But I taste the vermouth, I taste the smoky wood barrel, and I taste the no-lets gin. Alright, we'll give this I Do Bijou just one more little shimmy shimmy, and we're gonna put that off to the side, and we're gonna get started with the AFD OF.
Okay.
Alright, so that one's done. So, we've got a lot of bourbon. And then we've got the framboise and we've got the black walnut bitters. Are you going to use all of the framboise and the black walnut bitters?
I am not. I'm gonna have to measure those. So I've got my little measuring cup that has milliliters as well as ounces. That's gonna save me a whole lot of trouble. So traditionally when making cocktails, you like to start with the cheapest ingredient that you use the least of in the cocktail first. In the event that you mess up, you can kind of just pitch the cheap stuff.
That's a pro tip.
Yeah, so normally when making like an old fashioned or something of that nature, I would use the bitters first, but however, I'm not really gonna be able to stir this super well, so I'm gonna add the bitters somewhere in the middle. So we're gonna start a couple barrels, bottles, a couple bottles, barrels, bourbon.
Bourbon.
I'll smell it.
Get that noise.
Satisfying.
Satisfaction. Oh, we got another one. Oh.
This is the most bourbon I've ever bought in one go.
This is the most liquor I've bought in one go, for sure.
And I'm like, all right.
So just start firing away?
Yeah, get about 2 of them in there first.
All right.
Don't slosh it now.
Don't slosh the brandy.
Don't slosh it. All right, so while he's doing that, I'm gonna get going on the bitters. So,
measuring them out.
I am gonna measure them out. I'm gonna do milliliters.
Definitely just sloshed.
And
I'm sloshing.
okay. I'm actually gonna try and take the tip of this out real quick. So this barrel holds about 80 cocktails. When we originally did this recipe, each cocktail called for 2 dashes of bitters.
So 80 cocktails. How many people does that serve? 7?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think we're gonna have enough drinks for the wedding for sure. So,
Indeed.
each person gets what? A half a liter of booze?
Think that's gonna be
Or a
enough?
liter? Yeah, I don't know.
Comment down on this.
Yeah, comment
Is that
below.
gonna be enough for
How many
what?
liters of
How many
booze
people
do
is
you
it gonna
drink
be?
per wedding?
It's like 17 people.
17 people, 10 liters of alcohol. 2 of which don't drink. 15 people. Okay. So
People are gonna be
anyways,
drunk. That's what the math says, is that people are going to be drunk.
gonna be about 80 cocktails. Per cocktail, I was doing 2 dashes of bitters. A dash of bitters is about, I mean, it's slightly below a milliliter per dash. So I kind of just like rounded it.
Should
That
we
would be
put
that would be about 160, because it was 80. Just do 80 times 2, 160. So let's say like 150 milliliters. And let's hope we got it. Funny enough, during Prohibition, there were still places that were able to manufacture bitters. So bitters, I mean, they have alcohol in them. I'm pretty sure it's around 30 proof, right? So there were like people who were just getting hammered off of bitters. I think this is exactly 100. I didn't even need to measure that. That was 150 milliliters. So there were people during Prohibition
Double-checked.
that just slugged down bitters.
Should I do
And
all
that would be
this
miserable. Like, throw
at
about,
once, or should we do this and some more bourbon? And then...
do like, yeah, do most of that. Here, let's, what I'm gonna say is we probably don't even need all of these. And let's do them all. Throw it all in there.
All right.
All right,
Bittertown, USA.
Bittertown. So we're gonna need about 300 milliliters of this. This boy only measures up to 250 milliliters. So this stuff is pretty potent. In a cocktail, if I'm using 2 ounces of bourbon, I really only use about a 1/4 ounce of that. I don't want it to take over. I don't want it to be too sweet, because you see it, it's viscous.
Very much smells like raspberries.
I mean, it smells like raspberry jelly, you know?
It does. It's exactly what it smells like.
And it tastes like that too, but it will take over if you let it. All right.
More?
Yeah, we're gonna put these last 2, give it a swish. Give it a swish there, muscles. Take it easy, Chief.
Gentle swish.
Gently, gently.
Gently. This is cool. This was all his idea, by the way.
Nah.
Yeah, it was. He was like, Morgan and Alex, I'm gonna barrel age his and her cocktails for your wedding.
I might have said something like that. He should have been. Even though we used sweeter ingredients, a lot of times when people make old fashions, they use like a pretty decent amount of simple syrup. That's not really my style. Not with this type of cocktail, at least.
We're getting to the top.
I mean, I'm not opposed to simple syrup. I just would like to drink something a little bit more spirit forward. So you're gonna see that in both of these cocktails. You getting close to the top?
We got it. We got it all.
I mean, that should fit right in. Like, that should be... I did the math.
Did the math for this one.
I did. I did the math for that one, too.
Did
I
the
just
math
knew it was
for
going to be
that
slightly off. It was off by like 5 milliliters. I was like, whatever.
All right, where's the bung hole?
Dude, you got the one hole. You were in charge of one thing in the trash. Bunghole.
Say it again. Was it?
That's the bunghole.
It's the bunghole.
That's the bunghole. Give it a swish. Yeah, so just because this one, there are going to be some, like...
Kind of sugary stuff?
Yeah, I mean...
Is that what you're thinking?
Not that it's so much... Not so much that it's sugary, it's just... There's going to be differences in, like, the consistency of the alcohol. Just because, like, that's really viscous.
Should roll.
Yeah.
Hold on to the bunghole.
Like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, give it a good little... I don't know. And you don't really even have to do this that much just because this is going to sit for several weeks before it's ready to be consumed.
Alright, so when it's sitting, should you be shimming it here and there?
Every once in a while you can, I mean,
Well, like-
mainly just before it's served.
Alright, so this... Ooh, bunghole pop. Should I smell the bunghole?
Smell Alex's bunghole.
Oh yeah, this is the AFD bunghole.
Alex, you have a very distinct butthole.
This is a...
bunghole.
This is a sharp bunghole smell.
Yeah, let me get in there.
Take some...
Don't
take a
bogart the bunghole.
Get a pull off that bunghole.
I'm yanking all kinds of fragrances off of
Alright.
Alex's bunghole. Alright, so who got Alex's barrel? Trevor, go ahead and yank that bunghole out. That was easy. Alright. So we can go ahead and give this a little pour.
Frosty Mountaintop.
We wheezed a little bit of the juice.
Little juice has been wheezed.
Some juice has been wheezed. The same thing, I mean, it's obviously darker than the other one because it's bourbon and it's got a dark liqueur in there. I can see a little bit of charcoal, but not nearly as much as the last barrel.
So
This one's definitely way more spirit forward than the other one, even though the other one consists entirely of alcohol. So is this one. It's just, this one is more one spirit, whereas that one's equal parts of three very different spirits. So with this one, what you're getting on the nose initially is just all bourbon.
So this one's gonna definitely be like a higher proof, like as a total cocktail than the other one.
Not necessarily. I mean, green chartreuse is a high proof. Gin's probably, I mean, the gin's probably 94 proof. So it's all kind of going to balance out because I believe this is 80 proof. So they're about the same with the alcohol by volume.
Okay.
This one is just, you know, it's Kentucky straight bourbon, man. That's a taste you don't forget. I mean, that's going to have the ha. It's got heat on it.
Definitely got the ha. It's got the heat.
Are you picking up any of the raspberry or any of the black walnut?
I do pick up the raspberry. I don't really, I mean, it tastes nutty, but I don't know if I'm confusing like nutty with like oaky or like woody.
Well, see, and that's
smoky.
the thing is we didn't really want the black walnut to take over. We wanted to complement it.
Right.
Yeah, because I mean, if you used more of that, that could definitely drown the flavor out. Whereas this, just a couple dashes per cocktail, it's really going to kind of pull it together.
Yeah.
You want to give it a try, Lily?
Camera crew.
Camera crew gets a little nipsky.
That is bourbon.
She's smelling the bourbon. She said that the bourbon is bourbon.
Hot damn.
Lily doesn't drink a lot of bourbon.
FDOF.
Alex's bunghole.
Alex's bung. So one last question about the bunghole.
You talking to me?
Yeah.
Okay, right.
Who else is the bunghole expert?
Oh, that's correct. Yeah.
So, is it possible to play with the bunghole too much?
I get that right.
So I could just stay here all day.
I mean, you could. You might wear it out. But I mean, hey.
All right. How are we gonna wrap this up? We've done 2 taste tests.
When playing with the bunghole, you should wrap it up. Yeah.
There we go. They're very heavy. 2 barrel aged cocktails. AFDOF. I do Bijou. What are you wielding behind your back?
Dude, I got nothing. Let me just freeze. All right, get over here. All right, look at these trees. Sorry. End it.
All right. So the two cocktails are done. We've got the AFD OF and we've got the I Do Bijou. So these will age until the wedding, and then we just have to transport them. And how are they going to be served?
These cocktails are both going to be served on the rocks. Traditionally, you can do a Bijou up or on the rocks, but I think just to make everybody's life easier, we're going to do that. Also, a Bijou traditionally has orange bitters on there, but because of how much liquor was going in this, I wouldn't have had space to fit a whole bottle of bitters in there. So what we're gonna do is add them after the fact. So pretty much we're just gonna have, I do believe they're hiring a bartender, but there'll be somebody there, you know, throw some ice in glass, a couple dashes of bitters and fill it up. Give it a quick stir. Yeah, so it's gonna be pretty user friendly.
So there you have it. Barrel aged cocktails 2 ways. I hope this was informative. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you like having the expert in their trade on. And we'll probably be doing some more cameo videos in the future. So stay tuned.